Tift Nature Preserve is a 264-acre nature refuge dedicated to conservation and environmental education. The preserve was created in 1972 from land purchased by the City of Buffalo for a landfill site. Concerned citizens recognized the ecological importance of the site and convinced the city legislators to plan for the area's preservation. The completed landfill incorporated many safety measures, allowing the land to have a new purpose, a nature preserve, which opened in 1976. Tift began its transformation to a nature preserve in the 1970s. Nearly 2 million cubic feet of solid municipal waste was enclosed in clay and covered with soil excavated from another section of the preserve. Ponds were enlarged, and trees and wildflowers were planted. Conservation of Tift's large cattail marsh helped attract a variety of animals. In 1982, Tift Farm Nature Preserve became a department of the Buffalo Museum of Science. Its name was later changed to Tift Nature Preserve to better reflect its purpose as a preserve rather than a farm. Today, Tift Nature Preserve maintains a natural setting. Animals from the entire region take advantage of its ponds, marshes, and woodlands. It has become the urban sanctuary many people envisioned over 20 years ago. Tift Nature Preserve is located in the city of Buffalo along the southern edge of the city, between a major rail yard and the Buffalo Outer Harbor. It includes a 75-acre cattail marsh, which is the second largest in Erie County, with open water ponds, a 50-acre upland mound with grasslands, and 2 large ponds in the west and northwest. On one warm spring late afternoon, my mom and I went to visit Tift Nature Preserve. We parked in the small parking lot, the southernmost area of the preserve, down by Lake Kirsty, near its fishable side. There's an outer edge you cannot fish by. We walked up near the visitor center, which of course was closed, but we took a look around it anyway. I saw various environmental sustainability-related items like bird feeders and a compost box. Near the picnic tables, I wasn't surprised at all to see a family of Canadian geese with many cute little chicks. So next we walked up toward Mosquito Junction on the northern end of the preserve, much to my mother's dismay, but no bugs were swarming us, so that was great. We saw these neat little contraptions called bat clouds. The bat clouds served as homes for the species of bats living in this area, as there are not too many places resembling a cave down by the marshes and wetlands. When I first saw them, I thought they were an art exhibit. Sadly, I didn't get to see any of the bats in their clouds. But I did see many, many birds. A total of 265 species of birds have been recorded at this site, which is pretty exceptionally diverse for a preserve this size. 66 of these bird species have been found breeding or were present during the breeding season. Among all the birds that live at Tift, we saw some robins, cardinals, chickadees, blue jays, the Canadian geese I mentioned before, mallards, but we heard many more. The birds had very active calls to one another. Several species of songbirds, ducks, geese, wading, and shorebirds are regularly seen. At-risk birds regularly seen include common loons, bald eagles, northern harriers, red-shouldered hawks, peregrine falcons even, common terns, short-eared owls, and willow flycatchers. Vigilant birders, unlike myself, because I don't have any patience, can observe the area's secretive American bitterns as well. Along our little hike, there was this funny little moment on the boardwalk trail, which is really close to the marshes, and you could see out through the entire northern part of the preserve. There was this robin that was leading us down the path, which went to Old Tift Street, and it was just really neat. I really liked that. I thought he was leading us to where we needed to go so we didn't get lost. Another prominent feature at Tift that we observed was the beaver population. Now, while we didn't get to see a live beaver ourselves, we saw the home of one. It resembled a messy nest of some kind, like a squirrel's, but more structured. Most likely the beaver was swimming in the marshes while we took a look at his cottage. Beavers are active throughout the entire year at Tift. Additionally, several species of frogs, snakes, turtles, and dragonflies add to the diversity of marsh creatures. I saw a baby frog among the grasses while I was there last, but I couldn't get a good photo of it because I accidentally scared it away. And the first time I was at Tift was, many years ago, but I saw a snake there, and that was the first snake I've ever seen in the wild. It was kind of scary. White-tailed deer are frequently seen browsing at dawn and dusk and can be encountered all year on the preserve, just not by me apparently. Although the industrial activity has ended and the site's natural appearance has recovered, there are still several threats to the preserve's natural resources. Invasive species tops this list of threats. There are many invasive species at Tift Nature Preserve, including plants, fish, and invertebrates, and the preserve is not alone in dealing with this growing environmental problem. The most urgent invasive species challenge is to prevent the remnant Cattell Marsh, which is still mostly native wetland vegetation, from being dominated by the non-native plant common reed. The other major threat to the preserve comes not from an invasive species, but from an overabundance of white-tailed deer. Growing populations of deer are becoming a common problem for many natural areas across the country, as well as suburban and urban communities. The many deer on the preserve heavily browse the vegetation and prevent tree regeneration, which degrades habitat for other wildlife species. Large deer populations in urban areas can also create conflicts with humans by destroying ornamental plantings and through deer-vehicle collisions. In addition to addressing the threats that preserve's natural resources, there are many improvements that can be made to increase the site's value to wildlife and biodiversity. These include replacing and repairing nest boxes, woodland and wetland native vegetation plantings, and the introduction of wildlife species that do not currently occur in the preserve, among others. On over 15 acres where invasive plants have been controlled, over 2,000 native trees and shrubs were planted between 2010 and 2013 to provide habitat for migratory songbirds and other wildlife. The planted trees currently have a high survival rate and will continue to be monitored and maintained. Tiff Nature Preserve has been working closely with the New York Power Authority to control the non-native invasive species plant, common reed, within the wetland, and these efforts have been so successful that over 30,000 native wetland plants of 19 species, including smartweeds, sedges, bulrushes, and burreeds, have been planted on 3 acres within the wetland in the summers of 2015 and 2016. And a system of over 40 bird boxes for wood duck, eastern bluebirds, and tree swallows are maintained to provide nesting sites. Bat boxes, turtle nesting platforms, and various bird feeders are also installed on the preserve to enhance wildlife habitat. A variety of research projects partnering with local colleges and universities occur at Tiff Nature Preserve. Past and ongoing research includes examining factors limiting native tree regeneration, invasive versus native plant nutrient allocation, groundwater flow modeling, deer population abundance and impacts, songbird feeding behavior, and plant community succession and post-industrial ecosystems, among others. Tiff Nature Preserve's unique history, natural resources, and location within the city limits of Buffalo make it an ideal site for scientific research and education. Tiff Nature Preserve really is living proof that good things come in small packages here in Erie County.